Sure, James Corden loves to play games, but when it comes to the rules of the game, he is definitely not playing.
We can't do that tonight because we can't have a riff-off without the Philharmonic, and they're not here.
He loves to have fun with his celebrity guests on his show, but they face some serious consequences when they don't follow the rules.
Case closed! It's out of my hands! I'm the genie, okay? I'm playing the genie.
Well, it's also kind of scary when they do follow the rules.
What did I get myself into?
You'll see what we mean. Here are some of the craziest rules in James Corden's games. Fill your guts, literally. Everybody knows that James has a habit of putting his guests in uncomfortable situations. So when he tried to force Justin Bieber to eat ant-filled pudding with a side of scorpion, it was just another day at the office for James.
Why am I here?
Come on, this is it. This is gonna be great.
The premise of the game, Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, is to make celebrity guests answer questions that could get them in a lot of trouble.
Which country has the worst fans?
Or eat something disgusting. And James doesn't get off that easy either. He also has to answer questions or take a bite out of a gross cuisine like a big, beefy cow tongue. Justin was close to losing his lunch right before James presented him with the final dare of the game. He had to either eat the ant and scorpion pudding or let James shave off his mustache. Justin says he loves his mustache, so he took a spoonful of ant pudding and put it in his mouth. But he couldn't hold it down. It's a good thing there were buckets next to the table. What James chooses goes. Another unbreakable rule of the game Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts is that the guest must eat the item of James's choosing. The guest can't pick their own awful dish. The same rule applies to James too. He has to eat whatever his guest chooses or else. Kris Jenner tried to challenge this rule when James told her to eat a cricket. Kris wanted to drink the super spicy hot sauce instead, but James wouldn't budge. Then he asked Kris about the massive diamond ring on her finger and if that meant that she was engaged to Corey Gamble. Kris smiled a secretive smile and said that she would not answer that question.
No, I'm not gonna answer.
Then she daintily put a cricket on her tongue and swallowed it like a pill. She even looks glamorous while eating bugs. How does she do that? Hits only. Carpool Karaoke is one of the most popular segments on The Late Late Show with James Corden. If you're unfamiliar with the bit, James picks up celebrity singers and they sing their favorite songs together in the car as they drive around the streets of Los Angeles. James has jammed while riding next to big stars like Lady Gaga, BTS, and the Jonas Brothers. If you're a pop star with an album coming out, you might be tempted to plug your newest music that hasn't yet reached the ears of the fans. James has a strict rule against this. He wants his guests to sing only the most recognizable hits in the car with him. So of course BTS and James sang the fan favorite On, and the Jonas Brothers had to do Year 3000. It is karaoke after all, and karaoke is all about the biggest hits. Come out wherever you are. At the end of the show, James Corden likes to play a little game with his guests. You may recognize this one from your own childhood. The game is hide and seek. Instead of the backyard, the celebrity guests hide around the studio while James and one other celeb searches for them. The audience loves it. The most exciting game by far was the one in which the members of BTS hid while James and Ashton Kutcher tried to find them. BTS is really good at hiding. They disguise themselves as camera and the crew members hid under desks and behind curtains. The rule of the game was that the first person to find 4 members of the BTS crew would be the winner. While Ashton was incredibly eager to find them all, James was the winner of that game. Don't be a scaredy cat. As we've said before, James has a knack for putting his guests in uncomfortable situations.
How are you feeling, Lisa?
This is my nightmare.
If you're a celebrity who scares easy, you might want to think twice before going on Corden's show. Blackpink learned this lesson the hard way. James and his team thought up a game called Flinch. In this game, he finds out which one of his celebrity guests has nerves of steel and which ones are a little jumpy. When Blackpink came on the show, James found out what these pop stars were really made of. He had Jennie, Jisoo, Rose, and Lisa take turns standing behind a big piece of plexiglass. While they were back there, he loaded a pressurized cannon up with various fruits like apples, oranges, and lemons. Then he got them talking so they wouldn't expect a high-speed lemon to come shooting out of the cannon and explode all over the glass right in front of their faces. Can you guess which members of Blackpink are the biggest flinchers? If you guessed Jennie, Rose, and Lisa, you're correct. The only one who didn't jump was Jisoo.
I'm not scary.
Don't get shaken, don't get stirred. For some of the celebrity guests, James has added another interesting element to his game flinch. For instance, when Shawn Mendes, Hilary Swank, and Zach Woods came on the show, he had some refreshments waiting for them. To measure just how much these celebrity guests flinch, James made them all martinis.
Nothing says cool, calm, and collected like an ice-cold martini.
At the time of the show, Shawn Mendes was still under legal drinking age, so they gave him a martini glass filled with ice-cold milk. The guests must hold their martini while standing on the other side of the plexiglass and try not to flinch as various fruits are shot out of the James Corden cannon. If you're wondering about whether or not Shawn Mendes is a scaredy cat, let's just say we hope he didn't cry over that spilled milk. No battles without harmony. It's no secret that James Corden loves music from the 90s.
The music was better back then than it is now.
He talks about his opinion that older music is superior to current music, which almost always lands him in a riff-off challenge by current artists.
How about we settle this, James, between you and I right here, right now?
His diva riff-off with Demi Lovato was pretty phenomenal, but James has one very strict rule when it comes to these riff-offs. He insists that the Philharmonic accompany the riff-offs. You see, all riff-offs are strictly a cappella, so they need the Philharmonic to make the music during these intense battles. When Shawn Mendes came on to challenge James Corden to a riff-off, James said it was not possible without the Philharmonic. And when Cabello challenged James, he said the same thing, but both Shawn and Camilla had the Philharmonic with them, making the riff-off possible. One take wonder. As you might have guessed, during James Corden's Carpool Karaoke segment, it's not possible to have a camera crew in the car with them. Because of the restrictions of the car on this segment, the artists are only allowed to do one take of their songs. No redos allowed. It makes for an exciting and fresh take on each song they sing. It's spontaneous and fun. Remember the time that Billie Eilish played the ukulele and sang live in the car?
Whoa!
There it is.
Oh my gosh!
What can you play us on this?
That all happened in one take. They make sure to load up on the car with cameras before James takes off so they can catch every moment the first time it happens. Tweet dreams, Noah. Your average person would probably not want to hear about the dreams strangers have had about them, but when you're a celebrity, your life isn't exactly average. Noah Cyrus knows all about this. She had to do a segment on The Late Late Show with James Corden called Tweet Dreams. In the segment, they made Noah read aloud the tweets from fans who have dreamt about her. Some of the dreams were scary, like the one about her in a haunted house, and some of them were funny, like the one from a fan who had a dream that Noah robbed their grandmother's house and posted it on Instagram.
No hate with the grannies, not robbing any grannies.
Or the one about Noah Cyrus being eaten by a horse. That dream wasn't too far off. Noah shared that she has been bitten by a horse before. Ouch. Don't believe the hype. Alicia Keys hosted a game on The Late Late Show called Taller or Shorter with Billie Eilish and Ali Wong. In this game, 6 women stood behind a door and balanced their chins on a pink bumper. This made it impossible to see how tall they were. Billie and Ali had to guess whether each hidden person was taller or shorter than the one before them. The audience was blown away by the height difference between the last 2 women. Do as the toddlers do. For this game, there is only one rule, but it is a very strict rule. You must do every move as a toddler does while they are dancing. It's called toddlerography, and it's the cutest thing ever.
But I've heard that this class is insane.
I think I can handle it.
Take the time that James Corden and Justin Bieber danced behind several adorable toddlers while they busted some serious moves. Justin totally nailed that cartwheel. The whole audience laughed when James and Justin were spinning on the floor behind their masterful young choreographer. They were trying so hard to follow the only rule of the game: carve the best pumpkin or else. The pumpkin carving segment on the show was particularly passionate. James had members of his staff each carve a pumpkin. Then it was up to Alfre Woodard and Jason Momoa to judge the pumpkins and crown a winner. Things took a surprising turn when Jason picked up a pumpkin and smashed it to pieces on the floor. And that was just the beginning. After a couple of pumpkins met their untimely demise, Jason took out some brass knuckles out of his pocket and punched a jack-o'-lantern right in its Halloween-loving face. The obvious lesson here is don't put ugly jack-o'-lanterns in front of Jason Momoa. No crying on the mic. James Corden loves to have fun with his guests even if he's being insulted. That's what makes the segment Drop the Mic an audience favorite. In Drop the Mic, James engages in a rap battle with celebrity guests. They basically take turns roasting each other to a beatbox beat. Before they come on stage, they should grab some ointment for all those sick burns. Usually the guest rapper wins these battles, but Diddy came onto the battle with Ashton Kutcher and declared James the winner, and Ashton came at James pretty hard. It did look like Ashton shed a few tears years after James won. Luckily, Diddy was there to comfort him. No hands when you nuzzle. This may be the most unusual game that's ever been on a late-night talk show. It's a game in which the celebrity guests must blindfold themselves and nuzzle up against a mystery item with their faces to guess what the items are. The only rule is that they must not use their hands. At first, when Taraji P. Henson and Lil Nas X rubbed their faces up against a gingerbread house, it was pretty tame. But when they brought out a live reindeer complete with pointy antlers, things got wild. Taraji ran away after she saw the live animal in front of her. James must always be the star. In the traffic-stopping segment Crosswalk musical, James has one very important rule. He must always be the star of whatever musical they are performing in the crosswalk. And he will do whatever it takes to claim that star role. Take for instance the time he tried to overpower Idina Menzel when he put on the Elsa dress for the Frozen Crosswalk musical. Or the time he overshadowed Hugh Jackman during the Greatest Showman Crosswalk musical. It's all for fun, and he usually lets the real star take over before the end.
Sometimes you have to let it go.
Which celebrity guest game on The Late Late Show with James Corden is your favorite? Tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you liked this video. Catch you next time.